Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec and I'm your host. And before anything else, I would like to thank each and every one of you who are listening to the podcast right now. This is your first time. Then I hope that you go check out the other episodes as well, because those episodes have a lot of things that you need to become a better person in your life. Now, this is another episode of Ask Alec, where I read a story from a sender or from a listener, and I try to answer their questions as much as I can. Okay, so thank you so much for all the people who are sending their stories and questions. If you guys want to be, a part of this podcast, a part of Ask Alec, then go ahead and follow me on Instagram and send me your story there and ask me all of your questions that you want to ask. So for this week, I received a message. He said, "I'm a BPO supervisor and at the same time a husband and a father, newborn and a first-time father. I would say that I'm aware that I am a toxic person because I am controlling with my people at work and even with my wife. When I'm not able to get what I want, I could easily get angry or be mad with my wife to the point that I'm becoming physical with her. I know it's not right, and I really badly need help. Because of this personality that I have, I could easily get into a conflict with my colleagues at work and not to have a right relationship with my subordinates. I speak my mind with no filter. Sometimes I'm trying to avoid it, to become controlling and not careful with the words that I say, but I'm still not coming across to what I'm expected to be. What saddens me the most with this struggle is my relationship with my wife. And I so much need to change, most especially now that we have a child. I want to love her as what she deserves. My father is also the same, controlling, and I'm not sure if I'm living on my father's wounds since I was still a kid and even until now, but all I want is to be set free." So first of all, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it takes so much courage to share that kind of story. So that's why I want to say that I appreciate your honesty and your bravery for sharing that with us. And I mean, that's the first thing, to change. And I've done a deep dive into change on Monday's episode, which is the 5 stages of change. But essentially, that's the first one. You gotta be aware that you need to change something in your life. And you sharing your story means that you are aware that there is something that needs to be better, and you are taking accountability for what is happening with your life. And that's essentially what you want, is to not blame other people, not blame other circumstances, not blame your father for whatever reason. Because I'm going to tell you, the reason why you're like that is because you have problems before as a child that you haven't basically healed from. And there's so much concept between healing the inner child that we all need to do. Because as a child, we've experienced a lot of things and we didn't actually understand what was happening before because we were, a kid. But right now, looking back, we are now mature and we can now understand what that experience means, or is it really true, or the truth there, is it really something that can help us or something that can just hurt us? Okay, so kailangan, what we need to do is first and foremost accept the fact that my father was this guy. I could say a lot of things the same about my father, because my father, he tried to beat me up sometimes, but eventually he got to change. And so that's like the first step that you gotta understand. It's like understanding that you can change. It is possible to change. Even though your father was like that, even though your grandfather was like that, you can be the person that breaks the generation pattern. You are the pattern breaker, the generation changer. Okay, you can be that one, and you gotta start with you accepting the fact that you have these I don't want to say symptoms, but you have these similarities from the patterns from your father and your grandfather, and that's the first one. You gotta accept that. Okay, so once you understand now, okay, I can see this is very similar with my father, and I don't want to be like that. You can do that. Okay, you can be not like your father. You can be a totally different person. Okay, regardless kung buong buhay kayong magkasama, lumaki ka sa poder niya, you can be a totally different person. And your past is not an indicator of who you are right now. Your past is not an indicator of what your future life is going to be. So you need to have that belief that, okay, before I was like this, but it stops right now. I will be committed to change. I will take the steps necessary for me to change the bad habits that I have. I will do my research. I will ask for help to make sure that I become the person that I want to become. Not just for myself, but for my wife and for my son and my future children. So there are 3 things that I want to advise for you, aside from, accepting and being accountable and being honest, brutally honest with yourself. Maybe the first one that I would share with you is when you are in an argument with another person, okay? When you are talking with your workmates, your colleagues, always, and I know it's hard. It's really hard to deploy empathy, okay? But you gotta understand that there is a lot of things at play na hindi lang ikaw ang nakakaintindi, hindi lang ikaw ang nakakaranas. Okay? We are experiencing a lot of things together. If, your workmates are experiencing a lot of things in their life, and you gotta deploy empathy. You gotta approach every single situation with kindness. You gotta approach every single situation trying to understand from another person's point of view. Okay? Because when we always want to be right, and that's why we have a tendency to be controlling, is we want to be right all the time. But the truth is we can't. We can never always be right. So instead of trying to be right and to be perfect, just try to be the person that glues everything together to make it great. Try to make it as good as you possibly can, but understand that there are things beyond your control. And one way that you could do that is to deploy empathy. Try to understand people where they're coming from. Okay, so that's the first one. Second is if you are having an argument, if you are already there, okay, and probably you feel like, okay, eto na naman, magagalit na naman ako. I'm in this situation again where I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna say things that I'm gonna regret. Okay? I want you to do, to cool yourself down first before you approach it. If you feel like you can spot yourself when you are in that moment where you just want to flip off and be angry. And when you're truly honest with yourself, you can call yourself out. You can spot yourself na, okay, I'm going to that position again. I'm going to that feeling again. I'm going to reach that point again where I'm going to break the shit out of my workmates, right? And when you spot that, you stop yourself. You stop yourself and then you swap it. You swap your action to another action that could probably cool you down. So if you are having an argument and you know you're going to say things that you're going to regret, then spot yourself. Okay, dito na naman ako. Stop yourself and then swap it. Swap it with, try going for a 3-minute walk. Just 3 minutes out of the argument. Okay, sometimes it's better to walk out than to say things, because when we say things that we didn't really mean na hindi natin mababawi yun, especially pag nakasakit na tayo. Words gonna be out there forever. Hindi na mababawi yun. Okay? So what you gotta do is cool yourself down. Give your head some space to think, to clear your emotions. At this point, there's just no point in being overly reactive with our emotions. Okay? We need to balance it out with rationale, with with empathy, again, as I've said, and just be smart with how we approach things, and understand that it's not just us. We're living in an interdependent world. It's not just us, and we don't need to prove anything to anybody. Okay, so that's the second thing. The third thing, I guess, if for example, you are hurting your wife, or you are to the point na physical mo na siya, I guess this can apply to everything else. Is sorry is just not gonna cut it. Sorry is just not enough. You need to make a plan. That's why in the first in the previous podcast that I made, which is the 5 steps to change, you gotta first be aware, then you gotta change your beliefs, then you gotta make a plan, then you gotta execute, and then you got to follow up. Okay, a lot of people when they try to change and they feel like they get a setback, sabihin nila na, okay, wala, back to zero ulit. No, it's not like that. You will fall, you will slip back to some old habits from time to time, but as long as you are trying, as long as you are waking up the next day and you're gonna try again, that's good. Sometimes all you need is some space and time to heal. You can't change all of your habits or your toxic personality in an instant. Sometimes it takes time. Maybe that's what you need. But as long as you wake up and you show up every single day and you try your best to change your habit, to make a plan, okay, and to do the plan that will make your life a better life, that will remove some of your bad habits, and that's good. Okay. So the third tip is actually, listen to the podcast that I made, the episode on Monday. Lastly, I want to share that probably the easiest hack to changing some of the things that you want to change in your life is having a proper support system. That is very crucial. Because when you have people who will always drag you down to that not so very good version of yourself, you will always be dragged down to that level. So you need to have a support system that knows your cost, that knows that you want to change, that knows about your plan, and you need to have an accountability partner that you fully trust, that you that you need to call you out every time you slip back or feel like you're not making any progress. You need to have that support system. Okay? And because it gets hard, healing from something, whether it's your trauma from your father, whether it's being accountable for hurting your wife and you want to be better. Healing is gonna get hard in the future. It's gonna get easy, but in the early stages, especially when there's a lot of setbacks, it's gonna get really hard. So before you just break down and say, okay, this not working, you need to have that proper support system that is gonna push you to say na, okay, it's okay, sige, ayusin natin yan, okay, laban ulit, okay, sige, we'll figure it out, try to adjust our plan, and we'll do it better next time. You need to have that support system. Okay, and trust me, there are a lot of people who are willing to help you out. You just need to, drown out your ego, understand that you are a human being, and a human being that has flaws, that has imperfection, and go ask for help. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Always remember that. And so that's basically what I have for you for this episode. I hope I made some sense. I hope you learned something from this episode. And again, thank you so much for sending your story and asking me that question. If you guys want to be a part of this Ask Alec, then go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Send me your message at Small Talk Podcast, and I will pick the most valuable one every single week, and I will share it here every single Friday. I mean, today's Saturday because I I was lazy yesterday. So, yeah, I'll send it. I will share it with you guys every single week. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys on Monday. New episodes Wednesdays with a guest and Fridays with Ask Alec. So thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys next episode. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.